They've won Tonys and Oscars and Emmys and Grammys. There's no red carpet 'cause they're home in their jammies. From Melrose Place to Broadway to Janeway and her crew. Let Seth and James bring all the stars to you.
Anywho,
they're entertaining everyone, so who's gonna grouse? Just sit right back and you'll hear some tales on Stars in the House.
Hi, everyone. Seth is at the piano cam, which is right.
He's literally right next
to me.
Yeah, it's not here. I'll show you. Here.
For our SiriusXM listeners, Seth is right. Seth, you're showing the ring light. You're never supposed to show the ring light.
What? No, this is natural.
Hi, I'm James Wesley. This is my husband, Seth Rudetsky. Welcome to Stars in the House, our daily variety talk series that we began right when Broadway shut down for the Actors Fund.
Yes, we began in March, and people make donations while they watch the show, which we've already started getting. And the donations go to the Actors Fund. And people go, what is the Actors Fund? It is a misnomer. The Actors Fund ain't just for actors. It is for actors, singers, dancers, musicians, ASMs, Q42, go. It's for anybody in the business. And by the way, caterers, wig makers, anybody all over the country. You can go to the Actors Fund. You go to actorsfund.org. You say, I can't pay my rent. They go, how much is it? You tell them and they give you a check. I mean, it's like direct money. Or you could say, I can't pay my health insurance, or how do I get health insurance, or can you recommend a doctor, or I'm a dancer over 40, what can I transition into? They will help you with anything. So the donations have been coming in since March, $5, $10, $25, $40. James, how much have we raised so far?
We are up to $398,725.
We're almost at $400,000. Maybe the
I think that it'll happen tonight, Seth. I have a good feeling. So anyway, that's and everyone, please share on what do they do?
Explain it.
Yeah, you explain it. You're better at it.
Whatever you're watching right now, just copy the link and post it on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your MySpace, or your Friendster, so that other people will watch. The more people that watch, the more people that will donate. Also, subscribe to the channel, so when we call stars like Laura Dean and she's like, why should I do your show? We go, look at all the subscribers we have. By the way, she didn't ask that. But the point is, if we have a lot more subscribers, it always helps to get big stars. So please subscribe to Stars in the House. Anything else, honey?
I think that's it. I mean, we're here tonight for Fame. It's been 40 years since the movie came out. So amazing. So here's how we're going to divide up the show tonight, just so for our regular viewers and for people that are tuning in for the first time. We're going to have Michael Gore and Dean Pitchford, the Oscar winners of Fame. They're going to be on in the beginning section. We're going to have Dr. LaPook, the chief medical correspondent from CBS News, a little bit earlier tonight. And then we're going to bring everyone out. Yeah. But before we get started with that, we're going to bring out...
Sometimes the snow comes down in June. I'm so excited to have a piano here. We have Vanessa Williams.
Yes, you are. One of the founders of Black Theater United, Vanessa Williams.
Hello, fellas. How are you?
Talk about a ring light. You look amazing.
Thank you. A ring light, and I got a hard wire. I've done you twice, and I'm in the woods, so now I've got it right up to the wall. All good.
Vanessa, you've come such a long way since we did Desperate Housewives, and it was on the phone and walking around.
Where am I? Oh, can you hear me? It was horrible.
It's perfect now.
Literally on a rotary phone. All right, so Vanessa Williams, tell us about Black Theater United. You're one of the founders with Audra and Billy and Shelley Williams. What's up?
Well, I got a call after the world exploded, and we decided as Black Broadway performers and designers and directors and a collective to do something to actually have a voice, have a mission, and bring eyes to events that we felt were important. So Audra and LaShawns and Brian Stokes Mitchell and Norm and Natasha Williams and Capathia. I mean, it's a very stellar, and of course, Felicia Rashad is a very stellar list. So tomorrow I am going to be introducing Stacey Abrams, Leader Stacey Abrams, and Dr. Janine Abrams McCrane, and Viola Davis will be our moderator for the evening. So we're bringing some star power, and we're going to talk about fair fight and fair count, which is the census, and also fair voting. And these are topics that need to be talked about, and we are lucky to be able to have so many people interested in our cause that have signed up to be part of Black Theater United, that are allies, and it's just really been a fantastic time. And we're only 6 weeks old. So
I know.
A lot. Yeah.
So that's how you do it. If you're a Black artist, you sign up at Black Theater United, or if you're an ally, anybody can sign up, and it doesn't cost anything, but it just helps them to know who's following them, so they can send out the evites, the advance notice. So you sign up at Black Theater United, and the big issue that they're focusing on is the census.
You have to be funded. You can't move forward with legislation or any kind of reform for education if people don't know how many people live in your household and to be counted. So that's really important. Don't blow it off, please.
Absolutely.
I love it. All right. So Vanessa, tomorrow night is your event. What time is it?
We go live. I think you guys are doing it at 7 o'clock, I believe. I think.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
we're Seth and I are teching it,
We're
and
tech
we're
team.
going to have Sierra Bogus guest host stars in the house tomorrow. So that's how we're doing
So we're going to
it.
stay with you.
Yes.
please tell her I said hi. I love her. She's
We
amazing.
love her too.
Yeah.
So Vanessa Williams, we will see you tomorrow. Bring that ring light.
I will.
Of course she will. Bye, Vanessa.
So cute.
Hey, Seth, before
yes.
we bring on Michael and Dean.
Oh, the donations.
The donations, exactly.
We
You read my
started getting
mind.
them. So I was saying all the money goes to the Actors Fund. The way you donate, you go to starsinthehouse.com, send in your donation, and then you're going to get a receipt right away. And by the way, I can tell you how to text it to you, but you can get a receipt, forward that receipt to donations at starsinthehouse.com, and then I will forward it to one of the people tonight. And Montgomery may do it as a monologue. Antonia will do it sur le point, on point. They will read the names and the donation. So once you get your donation receipt, forward it. And the really cool thing we just started doing with the Actors Fund, you can text.
Yeah.
You
And
text-
people are using it, Seth.
Hey, it's 56512, and then you just text Fund 2020. But it's all on the bottom scrolling there. But make sure you forward those donations so we can get some of these stars to read your names.
Yes.
Here we go.
All
so
right.
This is the amazing composing team of fame, the soundtrack of my childhood. Please welcome, yes, you know him as Pippin, but yes, he's the lyricist, the amazing Dean Pitchford. Hi, Dean.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dean.
And all the way across the coast, across the country on the East Coast, is the fabulous Michael Gore.
Hey guys.
Hi, Michael.
Hey Dean.
Hi, Michael.
How are you?
I'm good, looking good.
Good. You too. You too. Good
You
to be
guys.
here.
How did you guys connect as writers?
So I guess I'll jump in.
Go ahead, Michael.
Fame. Okay. So, I'll try to make this story as concise as possible. I ended up getting the job on Fame, not as a composer, but really as a music coordinator. And I was very friendly. I was trying to get work in LA. I'd done some scoring for Jacques Cousteau, and I was trying to get into the business. And I became friendly with David Putnam and his wife, Patsy. And I used to go over to their house, and I used to play classical music, and I used to play pop stuff. And they ended up introducing me to Alan Parker, because he had made Midnight Express with him, and said, Alan Parker's starting this movie. There are all kinds of music. He needs somebody who knows classical, who knows pop, who knows, every possible kind of music. Is this something that would interest you? I said, absolutely. And I ended up going for a meeting with Alan the day after he lost the Academy Award for Midnight Express. Literally the morning after the Academy Awards, and he lost Best Director. And I thought, oh God, this is it. This is not going to happen. And sure enough, we got on really well together. And he said, there's just one thing. I can't bring anybody to New York. I said, I just rented an apartment in New York. He said, I can't believe it. It was meant to be. So I started in pre-production, and the show Up in One was on Broadway at the time, and I went to see it, and I saw and heard a lot of Dean's work. And
Up in One with Peter Allen.
With Peter Allen. And I called him out of the blue, and I said, would you come up to the apartment? I'm starting work on something, and maybe this is something we could, collaborate on together. So
and we discovered at that moment that we had both been at Yale 1 year apart and had never met.
Exactly.
In the same department?
No. And we lived in New York 4 blocks apart.
That's right.
Never met.
That's right. I was on 75th Street. Dean was down on 71st or 70th Street, right?
71st.
Exactly. So
we met on 74th. Why didn't we meet? At West End. So wait a minute. So you were just like a music coordinator. So how did the original music suddenly start happening?
Okay. So basically what happened is Alan Alan brought me in and said, and had me read the script, which Chris Gore, no relation to me, same last name, but he started to slot out all kinds of places for music, and I would sit with Alan, and we would try to figure out, what would work best here. And I put out calls. I had things submitted, but at the same time, because I was with them every day, talking about what the scene was going to be, I knew every shot. I knew everything he was going to do. I'd go home at night and I would sit down and I would start noodling at the piano. Right, exactly. And, so the first thing that I wrote, they needed a song for Coco. We had one that Dean and I wrote together called Anybody Else, which was a wonderful song. I wrote a second song, and
with your sister?
With my sister. My sister Leslie wrote the lyrics to what became Out Here on My Own.
Wow.
We ended up, I finished it on a Friday. I gave it to Leslie on the weekend, and the scene started shooting the following week. They fell in love with the song, and from that, so I had one song in, and then there were other things that had to be done. Hot Lunch Jam became the next song, and then the last song for shooting. There were 3 numbers that had to be finished for shooting. Out Here on My Own, Hot Lunch Jam, and finally the finale. So the finale was I Sing the Body Electric. It was going to be the last thing shot. And I started to discuss it with Dean. And Dean actually came to me one day, very unusual because I almost always write music first. Dean gave me the entire printout of his lyric of I Sing the Body Electric. And I said, just leave it on the piano, let me see. And the next day I had the melody, and then we started, and the whole thing sort of came together within 3 or 4 days.
Bear in mind that the mandate for the finale was that Alan Parker wanted to wrap up in the script. All it said was interior auditorium, the senior high school class dances and celebrates their graduation, something like that. Which ended up being a week's worth of shooting because he wanted a piece that featured soloists, a choir, an orchestra, a rock band, dancers, and did I say gospel choir, tambourines, and the whole thing. So we built a number that had more parts than a bucket of chicken. And eventually, and I accounted for that in my lyric, and Michael changed gears all the way through, kept on writing every conceivable style.
Well, let me ask you, what does I Sing the Body Electric? I guess it's a poem, that phrase?
Sing the Body Electric is a line from a poem by Walt Whitman. And the thinking that I had in my head was that in the movie, the song is supposed to have been written by Lee Curreri's character, Bruno, who not only did he supposedly write this, he also supposedly wrote Out Here on My Own. Right. No, he also supposedly wrote Fame.
Right.
And his father, right.
And the father plays it.
So my thinking was, this is a high school kid. He's gone through 4 years of high school, not just performing. He's gone through classes with English and things like that. What kind of material, American poetry, would you have taken in your sophomore or junior year? And I began to go through all of them, and go to the library and go to bookstores and look through anthologies and things like that. And then it was one night I was crossing 72nd Street and Columbus Avenue, and I suddenly remembered that line from Leaves of Grass, I Sing the Body Electric. And I thought, sing, voice, body, dance, electric. Bruno was all about electronic instruments. Right. I went, oh, that has to be it. And I wrote the lyric at a friend's dinner party. I went into the bathroom. I sat down on the floor, and on the lid of the toilet, I wrote the lyric in about 14 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
After working for a month.
Of course.
But you've been preparing, and it just flowed out. So all those other lyrics were just spontaneous, like Glory in the Glow of Rebirth, like that was just coming from you?
Yeah. But where, on the other hand, Michael and I spent, what did we spend, like a month on Fame?
Yeah. So Fame was a number that was not going to be sung in the movie. So what I did is I chose a number to use for playback, which was Donna Summer's Hot Stuff. I ended up slowing it down because it was slightly too fast for what I knew we wanted, and working with Louis Falco. And then when we were in post-production, Dean and I then got together in order to write what became Fame, and that then was recorded, and that replaced the number that they had shot, that replaced Hot Stuff, which had been shot, during the shooting period.
Wait a minute.
All we had to go on was a click. And what we've tried to do was match Louis Falco's choreography, like, hi! When people would be lifted, there'd be those moments we build in to pick up what was already on film.
So they're all dancing actually to Hot Stuff.
Correct.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
So I'll tell you the most interesting story, which is that we had an editor named Jerry Hambling, who's just one of the best film editors. He did all of Alan Parker's work and Bugsy Malone and, Midnight Express. I mean, just a great editor. So after shooting, he did a cut of the finale with our song in it. With Hot Stuff. And then we wrote the song, and he slotted in the song. And you know what happened? There was a little bit of a letdown, which is that he had gotten very used to it going to Hot Stuff. And now he had the song Fame, which was a same click, same beat, but a very, very different song. And I remember the day that Alan Parker came in to the editing room, looked at it, and said to Jerry, this cut that I'm watching is to Hot Stuff. Recut the entire sequence to Fame. And that's exactly what happened. Jerry tore the entire sequence apart, absolutely everything, started it from scratch, rebuilt it, and he rebuilt it to Fame, and it became the sequence.
Can I also point out that was not the only Donna Summer model that we used, because where Red Light was Bad Girls?
Bad Girls, exactly right. Exactly right. So once again, that was shot to Bad Girls, kept the same click, and then in post-production, Dean and I wrote Red Light, recorded it with Linda Clifford, and then that song came into the movie that way. So some of the songs were done, for singing, which had to be exactly the way the song was going to be, and then we had a couple of songs that were done in post-production that we slotted in.
Can I just share one quick image, because Michael would go to the set. I was not allowed to go to the set. I wasn't really an employee of the movie. So I would work in the shadows. But Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but you told me about sitting off camera because you had to make sure that the sync was correct with piano players and violinists, and you sat with binoculars.
That's right.
And watched people's fingers on keyboards.
It's funny. Alan actually had me on the set for all the numbers, including Hot Lunch Jam, on a ladder with binoculars, watching the sync of the actors who were singing to make sure, because he didn't want to do long takes if their sync wasn't any good. So
I was actually complimenting how real everyone's playing was. I mean, normally in a movie I have a fit. I'm like, she's not playing, but it looks so accurate. Excellent work.
So I'll tell you, it's interesting. Frank Owens was a great, I don't know if you remember him. He was one of the great pianists in New York, session pianists. He worked with Quincy, with all of Leslie's early records, and, Dylan like a Rolling Stone. I mean, he played on everything. I called him in, and it was actually Frank who was playing the piano on Out Here on My Own. And Irene came in and sat with him and relearned exactly how Frank played the piano so that her fingers were absolutely perfectly in sync.
That was the song we were watching.
It's so funny you say that, Michael, because last night when we were rewatching the movie, I turned to Seth and I said, how is Irene's playing?
And I said, it looks like she's literally playing. I said, I don't know if she's pulling a Jessie Mueller in Beautiful, where they took the strings out of the piano and she just moved her hands around. I said, but it literally looks like she's playing.
He was like, she looks good as she's playing.
I mean, to her credit, she actually sat with the track and learned how to play the piano exactly the way Frank Owens played it on the track that we recorded.
Wow.
It is so accurate. I remember talking to you guys years ago, and I feel like you kind of trickster style gave in the song Fame. Like you kind of had an insight, like you weren't necessarily supposed to write it. Didn't it? Right, Michael?
No, the movie, at first the movie was called Hot Lunch. The movie was called Hot Lunch, and then while they were in New York filming, Alan Parker saw a marquee of a porn house on 42nd Street that was showing a porn movie called Hot Lunch. And he went, oh, we can't call this movie Hot Lunch. And so within a day, it suddenly changed its name to Fame, and nobody knew except Michael Gore. And Michael Gore came home, picked up the phone, called me and said, they've just changed the name. Nobody else in town knows to put a song into contention. Let's get cracking on this.
And what's hilarious is that the porno company filed an injunction against MGM from using the title. It wasn't even like there was just this movie out there. The porn film came after MGM, so it had to be changed. So, you know, at that point, so I'll tell you just another little piece of trivia, which is interesting. Alan was talking about the title Fame. I wasn't thrilled with it because there had been a song by David Bowie called Fame. And it's very difficult to take a song that's been popular in its day with a particular title and reuse the title. So on Sunday, Jeffrey Kirkland, who was our production designer, went to a Yankees game. And he came back in the next day and he took the writing of Yankees, the script, and he put Fame in it. And everybody saw the marquee of what Fame actually would look like with that sort of New York Yankees writing. And that's what sold everybody. Seth, can't hear you. You muted?
Did you flip out? Did you write to Irene's voice, or did you write and then flip out when you heard Irene's voice?
That story is that Alan basically did all the casting, and he called me and said, I have somebody I want to cast as Coco. Her agent says she sings. Can you check? Right. Can you check it out? So I went that night to see Ain't Misbehavin', which Irene was in on Broadway at that time while we were casting, and she was terrific. And I saw her backstage. And I said, "Can you come in tomorrow morning? Because we need to see." And she came in. It was the one of the rehearsal studios on 42nd Street, and she came in and she was just incredible. So I went back to the office and I said to Alan, if she's good for you, she's fantastic for us. So I always had her voice in my mind. So whenever I was writing, I just knew her instrument. So I was really writing for that sound.
Oh yeah, it sounds like such a collaboration. And I guess my final question to you is, I'm just obsessed that so much is minor. Baby, look at me, or why so much stuff in the minor keys? I love it.
Because I'm a sad guy. I don't know. Seth. As a composer, you just find your way around, and that's where those ended up. A Hot Lunch Jam was that sort of minor ostinato that kind of worked for putting anything on top of it. And again, we laid that out section by section on Alan's floor at his house in Connecticut. And that started with, he said to me, I hate in musicals when dialogue ends and music starts. What I can't stand, I'm scared to death. He said, is there any way that one can start a number, but not really start a number? And I said, well, maybe a jam. Like one person starts doing something on the table in the lunchroom, then another person comes in and then he said, let me put that down. All over the floor. He's an artist. So he was like literally doing sketches, laid them completely out over the floor. And then by the time we finished, at lunch, it was basically done. He knew exactly what he was going to shoot.
It's so well directed. And Dean, looking back, do you have a particular lyric that you're like, oh my God, I love that lyric?
Well, I think Sing the Body Electric was actually the key because, well, here's the other thing. The other half of this was Alan Parker did not want an original number there. He had his heart set on an ELO track called El Dorado because it was big orchestral rock. And in the minds of the British, ELO was the epitome of orchestral rock.
Yes.
And he was so in love with that. And we had to come and sell him on the idea of get something new, please, and something that relates to your movie. And it really didn't happen until, wasn't it one day, Michael, that David Putnam came to the set? Alan Parker played him over earphone.
Not exactly close, but even more sort of unbelievable, which is David Putnam flew in to see Alan for the day to spend.
Producer of Chariots of Fire, by the way.
Chariots of Fire, Midnight Express, Bugsy Malone. Anyway, he came to the set and we went to dailies. And the dailies after that day of shooting were from a different number. I can't remember 40 years later which number it was, but it was an hour and a half of dailies on one of the numbers. We got up to leave the dailies and I heard across the room David Putnam going, "I sing the body electric." And he said, "Alan, use it." And the next day the song was in.
Wow.
And really, again, David Putnam, who actually made it happen for us.
Oh, so great. Okay, guys, so amazing having you here. For the Stars on the House viewers, I am going to beg them to come back for the reunion of Harry. So that's going to be coming.
People have already been asking in the comments.
Again in the minor. Well, there's definitely something going on here. I don't know.
Very Jewish. All right. Thank you, Michael Gore. Thank you, Dean Pitchford. We're such fans of yours. Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing it. So great to see you guys.
Oh my God,
Bye-bye.
amazing.
Bye.
Peace out to both of you.
Oh.
And then we have our, he's back. Are you going to remove?
Yes, I
Okay.
will.
And now, before we bring on the Stars of Fame, because we're stars in the house and because we began, because of COVID-19, we always have our medical break and we have our own chief medical correspondent. He's moonlighting from CBS. Please welcome to the quote unquote stage, Dr. Jon LaPook.
Hey guys, from
Hi,
Hey,
Doctor.
sunny Vermont, although it's nighttime here.
Oh, Vermont. Oh, Vermont.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the latest? What's the latest? I can't go.
So the latest is that it's unfolding exactly as predicted. Surprise, surprise, science, actually, you can embrace science. And in areas where you saw spikes and everybody was saying, well, or some people were saying, yes, you're seeing an increased number of cases, but where are the hospitalizations? Where are the deaths? Of course, it took time for that to happen because first you get the infection, then you get sick enough to be hospitalized, then weeks or even months later, if you're destined to die, you die. So that's happened. We saw that the president backed off having the convention in Jacksonville, and you're starting to hear a little bit things lining up more in a logical way of people saying, okay, there is a problem. In any kind of emergency, the very first step is to actually everybody declare that we're actually having an emergency.
Right.
So we finally, how many months into it, are getting there where we're saying it's an emergency.
Yeah. 4 months. Yeah.
4 months in.
I guess, yeah.
But
I guess I count everything with when Broadway shut down, which has been 4 months, but it's actually been longer, of course.
yeah, what was that, March 12th? That was the last day?
That's right. March 12th was when Broadway closed.
But, right now everybody's thinking about schools opening, and that's been the big discussion. And
Right.
I can tell you, I've now done deep dives on these plans. And the bottom line is, in areas of the country where it's hot, where there's spikes, and we're seeing a ton of cases, it is going to be very hard to think about opening up schools there, because no matter what you do, you're in the belly of the beast. However, there are areas of the country where if people now really embrace the face masking and the social distancing, I don't like social distancing, physical distancing,
Physical, right?
really embracing each other, and everything else, we can get the numbers down enough so that you can start to do the contact tracing. You could start to find out who was infected and who were their contacts, isolate them, and then start to have plans like Brown University. I looked at, they've done a lot of research, have a very extensive plan on how to think about bringing students back. And there are a lot of questions there because it's not just the students who may have relatively fewer side effects, fewer serious side effects, but could still die. You could still die.
Right.
And if you're the one in whatever, it doesn't matter, because if you're the one person who gets sick, you're the one person who gets sick. But they're worried about, of course, giving it to the teachers and then bringing it to vulnerable people and their families. But I think it starts with everybody being on the same page with the masks. Oh, and there was a study that just came out. Masks work. Probably the more layers, the better. You know,
Right.
I think there was one that suggested that 3 layers was better than 2 layers is better than 1 layer, but that they all are better than nothing.
Right.
So get those masks. And also the aerosol is now becoming, every day there's another study showing what you heard here. We talked about months ago, 6 weeks ago probably, which is that the 6 feet indoors is probably not enough if you have poor ventilation. So you got to think about getting better ventilation indoors, maybe getting some UV filters, and depending upon where you are, UV filters in the ducts, increasing air exchange from the outside to the inside, but being aware of it, that it is a risk. Opening the windows, cracking a door. But I am clearly there. We are at a point right now where psychologically a lot of people are fed up with it, right? And they're saying, we're out of the woods now. It's 4 months. We must be out of the woods. That is magical thinking. We are deep in the forest. We're not out of the woods. And the first step is to say, okay, we still are in it, and we have to do everything. I know it's a pain in the neck. We are all fed up with this, but we got a ways to go. And the vaccines, even if they have the millions of doses, which I expect they will have with however many are successful by the beginning of the year, think about the logistics of getting people inoculated. It's going to be several months there.
Right.
And then we got to see how long the protection is, how good the protection is, what any side effects are when we have many more people. And then we've got to spend more time educating people about the vaccine, answering their questions. We don't want to just ram it down their throats. People have questions. Let's answer their questions. Let's take them seriously. Let's not be condescending to people who are questioning. Let's just give them answers and give them data. So that's where we are.
Slow and steady, as we say. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Jon LaPook. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you, Dr.
Ish.
LaPook.
See you soon.
We didn't get the double oi tonight. That's
in my eyes, Norma Desmond style. Peace out. Bye, Dr. Jon LaPook.
Bye, John.
Okay, we've got our stars.
Yes, we do. And I already sent. I don't know if did you send donations to Laura?
It's funny.
We both got, because we've already gotten donations. Did you send them to Lee?
I sent them to Antonia.
Oh, okay. And I sent them to Laura. So
you send, the first set or second set?
Wow, we already have 2 sets.
I don't know. Oh, here we go. Look, let's
just bring them on.
We've got Lisa, who did not commit suicide. Yes.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, you guys.
We've got Hillary, who actually fulfilled her monologue and really became a ballet star. Hello. And
Hey, hi, Antonia.
How are you, Laura?
How are you?
and we have the man who wrote Fame and I Sing the Body Electric, Bruno himself. Hi, Lee.
Hi.
Hi, Lee.
Hi, Laura. Hi, Antonia.
Hey, LA dude.
And we have the face of Fame herself, Ms. Anita in West Side Story, Ms. Debbie Allen.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
Oh, nice to see you. Hi, Lee.
Hey, Deb.
Hi, Antonia. Laura, I haven't seen you in forever.
I know, Deb. How are you?
I'm well, very well. It's good to see
Good.
you guys. Seth, thanks so much for putting this together.
I was so
Of
excited.
course.
By the way, Debbie, you win for lighting and we lose. Okay, let's go back. First of all, Laura, he sent you the set, so you read yours first. Antonio, I'll send you the second set. Laura, did you get a list of donations?
I did. Teresa from California gave $25, and she said, to everyone from Fame, my love of dance began with your show. Thank you. Jamie from California gave $25. David from California gave $25. Cheryl from Pennsylvania gave $41. David from North Carolina gave $10. Sarah from New York, she's performing arts class of 1984, gave $25. And Sherry from California gave $25.
Yeah.
Keep it coming. Thank you, guys.
Sherry.
We'll be sending this out. By the way, I forgot to bring on Mr. Montgomery himself.
Paul McCrane.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, guys. Sorry that I'm a little bit late to the party here.
Just began.
Perfect timing.
Yeah,
Perfect.
fashionably late.
By the way, while this is happening, I got an email from Ben Stiller, whose mom, of course, starred in the film.
Yes.
And he said, I'm loving this Fame reunion. We love Sing the Body Electric so much. We sang it at my mom's memorial.
Oh, how nice.
Isn't that beautiful?
Love that.
Tribute to on the Grammy Awards this year, Body Electric was a big tribute to farewell to Ehrlich, who had produced the show for a gazillion years, who also did the series Fame with us for a little while. And Body Electric couldn't have been more powerful.
Oh, it's such a beautiful song.
Yeah, no, and your choreography was wonderful.
Thank you. I just even finished doing it again for my summer intensive, Fame. Instead of doing a theatrical musical like we usually do, we did Fame, which was.
I'm loving all the Zoomies. That they were all on Zoom. I love it.
I know, the virtual dance world is like the real world right now. It's like
it's so
cool. The world has changed. It's quite a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning. I'd love to know everyone's audition story, if you would. Lee, what about you? What was your? By the way, you literally look like Bruno. You're in a full studio.
Exactly.
What's happening?
I wanted to provide a direct contrast to everybody's beautifully manicured home. I'm the pigsty version. But I get a call from MGM from Margie Simkin, and I was supposed to come in and read this for Fame. And so first I read for Marjorie. She hated what I did. You know, I read the sides first, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds like me. This is no problem." And I show up, and Marjorie, she's telling me to try it differently and try all different things, and she's like, the look on her face is just, "Oh, this was a mistake to call you in." and then someone comes in and says, "Well, let him go in anyway." So I go in, and I see there's Alan there, and Alan has one of these big prehistoric video cameras, right, Paul? Like this giant thing on his shoulder,
massive,
and he's carrying it around and he's shooting everybody. And so they have me read the sides, and Alan's shooting. And then Alan says, "Can you sit down and play you play piano, right? Can you sit down and play some piano?" And I go down and I start playing, and he goes, "Now can you read the sides while you're playing?" I'm like, "Oh." So I do the sides, I'm playing, and then he says, "Okay." So I get up, and he puts his arm around me. He says, "Really excellent, really excellent." So I'm thinking at that point, "Oh, I have this role." And I have no godly idea how difficult it is to get a callback for a feature film, because I wasn't an actor. I was a musician. I had accompanied actors, and I always felt so sorry for them that they had to go through this horrible process. And so I had a couple of actor friends, and I told them, he said, "Hey, I got called back for this feature film." And they were like, "What? You got called back?" A friend of mine, this guy named Tony, who's an actor in the Bronx, he says to me, "Oh, great. Now I'm going to go become a delivery boy so I can get called back for a feature film." So
it worked.
So yeah, so it just I got called back again and again and again, and then I'm working. I was playing piano in the house band in the Catskills as a summer gig,
as we do,
the Villa Roma, and I was staying in a boarding house, and this German lady, Mrs. Mertz, ran the boarding house. And Sunday morning, I get up at the crack of 1 in the afternoon, and Mrs. Mertz says, "Were you expecting a call?" I said, "I guess so." She goes, "Well, you got the part." So it was the German boarding house lady that told me I got the part. So
very nice.
I love it. So is that really you playing piano in Hot Lunch? Were you really playing along?
Yes, that was the one that I got to play on, was the Hot Lunch Jam.
Here you are. By the way, your posture is just like mine, full hunchback. I love it. Here we go. Say it. Oh, so good.
And the cool thing was that all those people in the shot, they were all at the recording studio the day before recording that song. So it was pretty much those people providing the music.
Oh, so great.
Oh, wow. Antonia, how did you get the job?
Okay, mine, I'm going to go real fast version of it, but that was like awesomely. I love that. So basically, I'm at this moment at School of American Ballet because I wanted to be in New York City Ballet or ABT. So I had done the movie Grease when I was 16. I went to the High School of Performing Arts, but I went for drama, not dance, because I wanted to be well-rounded. So yeah, so I did Grease, and then I lost out on, I felt I lost time when I did Grease dance-wise, even though I was insane. So I was at SAB, School of American Ballet, and they were looking for a girl to do Fame, and I said, I'm not interested because, you know, I was just really like, I need to do what I need to do. And what ended up happening was everybody in my ballet class auditioned and didn't get it, and then all these other people, and I started getting really interested, and I was like, oh, okay. So they called me, and they said, just come in and read. I was like, okay, but I was pretty interested by then. So I went in and read the crying scene, and then they said, wait here 1 minute, and brought me into Alan immediately. He had that big old bang, shot me doing the scene. And then the next day I went to see Louis Falco because I wanted to make sure that I could dance, and that was it. So yeah, it was pretty much 1-2. So wow. I stayed, yeah, it was amazing. So I stayed at SA. The reason I thought it was great, I really liked Alan. I thought he was like really great. So that was a big pull for me because I just, yeah, and he is great. So, but of course at that, you know, I was like 18, I didn't know. But yeah, so I'm really glad I did it. But I kept going to SAB at the same time because, as you know, I don't come in the beginning of the film, so I had a little more time. So I kept in class with like Darcy Kistler, Stacey Cadell. Like my class was like pretty fierce. So oh
my god,
huh? What?
Oh my god, Darcy Kistler was in your class. That's amazing.
We were the same class, me with, you know, Stanley Williams. So the way you get into New York City Ballet is Mr. Balanchine comes once a year, and there's 2 top classes. So basically, I was in class at, you know, 10:30 to 12, and then I would go shoot, and, you know, I'd miss a day, maybe this and that. But I didn't tell anyone because back in the day, we were talking about this. It wasn't really a good thing to do films if you wanted to be a ballerina because it just meant that it meant that you weren't serious about your medium. The world has changed, but back then it was like a big deal. So I kind of kept it really quiet, you know, that type of thing. And I was worried that I'd miss Mr. Balanchine coming in. You know, my big dream, you get one shot, you know, just like in Fame. So it worked out that I was in the class in the morning when Mr. Balanchine came in. So what they do is they come in for like classes an hour and a half, and he just comes to the front of the room, looks at the 30 girls. So this is like your life. 30 girls, looks around for 10, maybe 15 minutes and leaves. So luckily I was there, but I had to go shoot right after.
Wow.
So I was like, did my best, blah, blah. And then I went to film, and then I went back at night, and a friend of mine calls me, and she's just like completely drunk. She's in Fame too. She's great. Cynthia. And she's just like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good. What's up? And she's like, you don't know. I'm like, no. She goes, you're in New York City Ballet. So during the filming, I got chosen for the company. Oh, and it was insane. So I was like filming, and then so anyway, it worked out. I was just thrilled. I had the best experience with Fame, you know, with Alan and stuff. But straight after the filming, I didn't go to the LA opening because I was in New York City Ballet. So
what a year!
Wow, Jesus, yeah. So that's me. Cheers.
All right, so Paul, I know you were in SAB, but you were in the Corps. So what was your
partner in how to do a class?
What was your audition like?
I tried to. I didn't want to show everyone up, you know. So my audition was I was doing a play with. No, I guess I was finished with that play. Anyway, I was in New York. I'd already started acting, and a friend said, "Oh, I just went up for an audition for this movie. It was called Hot Lunch at that time, and you should go up. There's parts for it." So I called my reps and I said, you know, hey, I hear there's this movie, and they said, okay, we'll send you. I went in the same experience we've all talked about. I went in, read the part, Alan with this big camera on his shoulder, and then he said, great, you play music too, you sing? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, play us something. I had my guitar with me. I've been told to bring it. So I played the song that ended up being in the film that I'd written. I wrote for my girlfriend when I was 16. That's another story. Anyway, so I auditioned. I don't think I even had a callback, although I might have had one. It might have been one callback. Debbie, you may remember this stuff better than I do. I don't know if you were involved at that time. And And yeah, and I got the call and I got the offer, and then they sent me a script, and nobody said anything about the song. They just had printed the lyrics into the script. And that's how I found out that he wanted to use my song in the film. So that was a very nice little surprise there. Yeah.
So is it okay if I call you mine? You wrote that?
Oh, yeah.
Are we talking about this?
If I ask of you, is it all right if I ask you to hold me tight through a cold, dark night?
So pretty.
It's Seth, I watched you mouthing the lyrics. It's awfully flattering that you even know them and would do
Are you
that.
kidding me? I love it. And it's pre-Body Electric on the album.
Paul, we had a question when we were watching it again last night.
Sure.
Is that was the scene for your apartment actually there? Because that's on between 46th and 47th on Broadway.
Yeah, that building is no longer there, but it was actually in the Palace Theater. It literally was a single window that was there. I don't know how Alan found it. I guess they scouted and he said, whoa, what about that? And they built the apartment set in that actual location. So any of the scenes that were in the character's apartment were actually shot at that location. Yeah, it was really cool.
We were right, Seth.
Yeah,
we kind of thought it looked
New
it looked too authentic for it to.
Yeah, no. When you look out that window, it's what a Panasonic sign, I think it is, or something, and it was absolutely right outside that window.
Wow.
All right,
Yeah.
so Debbie Allen, I want to say this was.
And Debbie choreographed all the work in that apartment. So any of the movement in that apartment, Debbie choreographed. So you can give her credit for that.
I was wondering, what kind of staging you did. So how did you get involved in the first place?
I was actually coming in to audition for the role of Coco.
Of course.
And I auditioned in a big Broadway theater. I think it was the Minskoff.
Wow.
I'm thinking it was the Minskoff, one of the big ones. And I remember I actually auditioned for Alan Park and the whole gang. And I was auditioning for Coco.
Wow.
I was actually cast. My part, Lydia, was actually in the original screenplay that we were shooting, was supposed to be her nemesis. I was a senior class member who was all of that and what she was supposedly trying to be. And there was a big scene where I was doing my big number in something like a McDonald's, and she was ragging me, gonna rag me the whole time. So what happened? What had happened was I auditioned, and certainly Irene was the right choice for Coco. And then Alan liked me, and so he cast me as Lydia. And I was actually her nemesis, and we had this big song and dance. I had this hot red dress. Child, after about maybe 2 or 3 weeks into filming, Alan came to me and said, Debbie, I love you. I think you're terrific. But you know what? I have a 10-hour movie already. The way we're shooting it, because Alan Parker was brilliant as a director. He was shooting, and sometimes we wouldn't know he's shooting. We might think he was rehearsing, but he was shooting. Or what we were over here jiving around, he was shooting. So he had a 10-hour movie. He says, there's just no way I'm going to get to do this number. I said, oh, this is awful news. I said, but can I keep the dress? So I still had a red dress, and my one line turned into a whole career for me in the television series when they decided they wanted the dance teacher to be younger. And it was actually on the set of Fame that I was cast as Anita in West Side Story, because I was doing my Spanish thing to entertain Gene Anthony Ray and the kids, because they had never been in a movie and they were misbehaving, didn't know what to do. They didn't know to rest in between takes. They were going to die. And I was doing this thing, and that played the lead dance teacher. She was the casting director also.
Joanna Merlin.
Joanna Merlin.
Joanna. So Joanna asked me, she says, Debbie, do you think you might want to audition for Leonard Bernstein? I went, yes, honey, when? That's how the party got started.
Wait a minute. She said that to you while you were filming?
Yeah, we were on this in between takes. I had lived in Mexico as a child. And so I had a great affinity to the language, Spanish language, and my accent. So I could act like I was talking to you, and you are a very stupid girl because you don't know nothing. And I could imitate a Latin person. And she heard me doing that. And then she thought I could play Anita.
Yeah, it's called the Tony nomination. But
Wow.
let me ask you something. So when Red Light was filmed, it's all good. But when Red Light was filmed, you were still gonna be that nemesis character, sort of like Boyd Gaines.
Yeah, it didn't really get settled until after. When I was sitting at the table, I was assisting the teacher. I wasn't really a teacher, but it was as if I was a teacher.
Yes.
Right.
And so, this is before the days of like VCRs and Betamaxes. I only saw the movie once, and I completely remember your line when it first came out. Like, it's, if everybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, here it is. This is literally classic.
What do you call that? Wicked.
So the small part, I can testify.
It was a standout. Okay, so Laura Dean, we had you on our Freedom You and Me show. You were a child actress. I know you did the original Annie up at Goodspeed Opera House.
I did.
And a lot of kids, I always say like a lot of kids get work when they're kids because they can follow direction and they sing on pitch, but you actually had the stuff. I mean, you really can sing amazingly. How did you transition out of being a kid? How did you get fame?
Well, my stories, I mean, Paul was saying he had 1 or 2 auditions. I had 5 callbacks for that part. And I actually could not get an audition through my agent to save my life.
Wow.
They were just not interested. I don't know who, what, when, where, how, why it happened. But anyway, anyone who went to the High School of Performing Arts, which I did, could sign up and audition on a Sunday. They had, like, after they had seen everyone else in New York City and everyone else all across the country, they were seeing the kids that were actually in the school. And I happened to not be in school the day the sign-up sheet went up, so I missed it. And I just thought, okay, this is not meant to be. I'm not going to be in this. I'm not going to get an audition. And my mom said, you're going to go to that audition. And so she took me there and I crashed the audition. And they had me read for Doris first.
Oh, yeah.
And then they gave me the sides for Lisa. And then that was, I don't think Alan was there my first audition, probably why I had so many auditions. Then they called me back and I read with Alan for Lisa. And then he had me sing. And then even though my character wasn't a singer, he just wanted to know, do you sing? And I think I sang The Way We Were for the audition, maybe.
Of course.
Maybe that's, I don't even know how it, but then I had to dance with Louis Falco. I had to take dance class with Louis Falco's dance company, which was exhausting. And thank goodness my character was not supposed to be the best dancer in the world, because I am a singer actress who moves well, but I would not. Anyway, and then I was actually waiting to hear, and I had a recurring role on a soap opera that's no longer on TV called Love of Life. And while I was shooting Love of Life, and one of the extras was one of my good friends, and her name was Ali Sheedy, and she was an extra, and she and I were buddies because we had the same manager. And I found out I got the part on the set, and she and I were jumping up and down and like, and it was wonderful. And it was that film for me, because I went to the high school like Antonia did, and Jean Anthony Ray did as well. And everyone, all of the characters, all of the extras and day players were people from the High School Performing Arts and Music and Arts. So for me, the film is like a yearbook, like a living yearbook. And it's hard. I haven't watched the film in a long time, but I can't watch it without crying because I see so many friends who are gone,
Of course. I mean, the 80s were hard, man, on men,
Yeah.
Here's a scene with you. By the way, your dancing is amazing. Here's you and Antonia in your first little ballet class together.
My stepmother bought it for me. Really? I wouldn't mind that kind of stepmother. Lovely, Meg. She didn't do it for me. She wants my father to think she cares. Besides, she loves shopping. She gets multiple orgasms every time she buys something. Sounds great. I think I like her. You can have her.
Where's all the sweat, Lisa?
I'm working on it.
You're not working on it hard enough. Get rid of the gum.
And let me tell you, we shot that in the summer in New York in 2 different schools where there was no air conditioning, and it was 100 degrees in the shade, and my character was not supposed to sweat. They had 5 different sets of my and in between every single take, I had to take off my clothes and I stood in front of a fan to dry off, and then change me in between every single take because I was drenched. I was like, "Where's the sweat? It's here! It's here!"
That's so funny.
Laura, you were talking about not being able to watch the movie without crying because of people that are no longer here. I know Seth and I have been together for 13 years, and I grew up loving. I didn't see the movie when it came out. I saw it as an adult, but I grew up with the Fame TV series, and of course, Jean Anthony Ray was a big part of that. And one of the first stories that I think Seth had told me was about Jean Anthony Ray.
Oh, it's makes me very sad.
Oh.
I volunteer. I do this thing called Hearts and Voices, where you bring singers to hospitals, AIDS wards, and I was doing Cardinal Cook. I was there every week on Wednesdays, and near the end of his life, that's where Gene was. He was in this AIDS ward at Cardinal Cook Hospital, and I'd never met him before, and I was such a huge fan of his. And because I'm me, I of course had a bootleg of Carrie, the musical. So I brought it the next week and I was showing it, and all the patients were like, "Oh my God, that's you." And he was, doing the Debbie Allen. It was it was beautiful, but it was tragic though, because, it was an AIDS war.
It's horrible.
People were thrilled to see him. I mean, what was he like to work with?
He had a ball of energy. I mean, I remember some of the things he used to do on set, which really I can't repeat. He would sing different lyrics to "Nothing Would Be Finer Than." I'm not going to sing it here because you made me promise.
I know what the line is.
We were really close though during that because we did a lot of scenes, and Alan wasn't. I don't think it's bad in saying this. He wasn't 100% comfortable with Gene, so he'd always use me as sort of a middle person because I was raised in Manhattan, so I love Gene, and I don't know, it was just really we were really close because we both sort of had never done films and so we had this sort of really quiet language together, like the elevator scene and stuff.
Right.
But he was just a big sweetheart, but and then Debbie knows him probably really well.
We were in the same year at high school for the first years. So he and I used to meet for breakfast on 46th Street. There was a Burger King on 6th Avenue between 45th and 46th Street. And we'd meet for breakfast before class. It's not there anymore. I used to share my French toast sticks with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Debbie, you must have been very close to him because he worked all through your series. What was he like to work with on that?
Well, Gene was like my child. He was like my son. All of the kids, they were all like my children, even willingly or not. Sometimes, they got a little feisty, got a little who didn't want to follow the rules. Because I had a band of these uncut diamonds. And we traveled. We not only did a series, we traveled to London like we were the Beatles. We went to Israel. We went to Spain. I mean, we went around the world.
True, man.
The power of what we continued on the series. The series, I think, in a way became bigger than the movie because it just went on for so long, and it just millions and millions of people. And Gene was such a powerhouse. I remember, we would dance together often. I was told when I took on the job that I asked for the choreography. They said, "You can have it. We want you to be the teacher, and you won't, it's going to be about the kids." I said, "I'm fine with that. I'm good." But I really could probably outdance all the kids. And so they had me dance.
You probably still could, Debbie.
Yes.
I mean, it's where it started. I mean, Lee was there. He knows, and we would write music every week. And sometimes he was getting his music. Actually, he was writing music for the show. But Gene, sometimes when we would dance together, because it became a lot Leroy and Lydia in that dance room, the two of us, and that wonderful ensemble of famed dancers who were amazing. Eartha, Derek, Darryl, oh my God, Bronwyn. There were so many of them. Marguerite Derricks. Anyway, but Gene sometimes would throw me up in the air and I would almost not come down because he was so strong. Then I just, wait a minute, I need some spotters over here. He was so strong. But we had a language between us that was so real. And I mentored him off camera more than I did on camera. And he stayed close to me all the way till the end. And the last time I saw him was, Lee, you were there. We did a reunion at my dance studio for our London television, BBC something. And we were so surprised when Gene walked in the room. And we were so excited to see him because we hadn't seen him. He had gotten lost in Italy, whatever. Yeah. And he walked in with his mom, and I could tell he was on the mend. I could tell, whenever he was drinking or doing things he shouldn't be doing. And I could tell he was on the mend. But I think he started a little too late. And when we lost Gene, it was just so hard. It was just so hard. I had done a big show in LA the night before his funeral. And I had to get on a red eye. And I got there just as they had finished and they had closed the casket. And I was grateful for that. But then they saw that I was there, and so they opened it. And it was just so hard for me. And but what he is in his life of fame lives forever, because the power of his dancing, the sexuality, the sensuality, and his rawness, and it says something about what's happening in dance right now. So many of us train, but it's that raw quality that through all of that. And Gene had that. You couldn't teach that. He had something that was beyond anything he was ever going to learn in a dance studio. And I was, happy to have been there for him and with him.
Yeah. We watched it again last night, and it's interesting how the film, there are a lot of things that aren't necessarily explained, and you just have to figure it out. And there's this scene with Ann Mira where they're fighting, and then you never know if he passes or not. But then suddenly I said to James, no, he does pass, because during the finale, you suddenly see him run out and he does this crazy battement and a layout. It's so amazing. Look at this. It's so incredible, the battement.
That's
Oh man. So Lee, let me ask you something. Is one of my biggest devastations, because I'm on the radio, I'm a Broadway host, and I'm always talking about the destruction of the string section. And then I'm watching Fame, and you're like, violins are out. Who needs them anymore? When you were reading that, were you like, hopefully you were on my side, you're saying this is bullshit, or were you really believing it? Because I don't want to have a fight, but let me hear it.
Honestly, there's nothing I love more than live players. Yes. And yes, okay, I have to admit, Hans Zimmer, the composer, was always on the cutting edge of faking an orchestra. He was always like really good at getting the best samplers and the best samples, and he went and sampled the London Symphony Orchestra, and he always had the best. His mock-up scores were almost exactly alike, exactly like the real orchestra ones. So of course I've been always trying to do this, but if I can invite real string players in my studio and record real string players in Capitol Studios, it's just exhilarating. It's almost as exhilarating as seeing Debbie Allen and her dancers perform to one of my music cues. It's just one of the best things about music is real people.
So let's forget this ever happened.
Violins are on the way out.
Yeah. Well, that line.
Yeah.
You know,
Good acting, Lee. You are an actor. You're wonderful.
Acting.
let us not all be held responsible for the dialogue that someone else wrote for us to say.
Fine.
Good point, Paul.
Thank you.
You know, we were talking also watching the movie last night, and we were saying it was very cutting edge that you were a gay character. You're one of the very, very first gay characters in films. Did you get a lot of letters from people coming out because of you? Like, what was the feedback for you?
Actually, one of the most gratifying things about it was exactly that. I have had, particularly in the earlier years afterward, there were a lot of guys who came up to me or wrote me letters and said that, seeing that performance, or just seeing a gay character in film, that was something that helped them come to terms with themselves and bring themselves to their lives, to their world. So that's actually the most gratifying thing about having been a part of that, honestly.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, because he's definitely downtrodden, but he gets himself together by the end, which I love.
Yeah.
He gets.
Yeah, the character's a little. Yeah, exactly. By the end, you don't necessarily see how it happened, but
Right.
there's some development by the end, and just the fact that you had a gay character in a lead role in a film at that time, in a non-insulting way, frankly,
Right?
Was a really good thing, and something I was proud about at the time, and even more proud for the reasons that you were just talking about.
And you know what? It was also because it was a film about young people. This was not heard of. It's why a lot of people were very critical of the film, because this movie went there. It went where it went there in a very truthful way. And when we did the series, we weren't allowed to reprise your character. Wow.
Right. I was wondering that last night.
Wow.
Not allowed. Not allowed.
Yeah.
I mean, even asked, don't.
Well,
don't
but
start.
I mean, there was an actor who essentially played the role. Did they not have? Forgive me. So when the series came around, we had a meeting. There was a meeting with a bunch of us, and then after the meeting, they offered or didn't to various people. I was mostly working in the theater at the time in New York, but P.R. Paul wasn't his character Montgomery?
Yes. Yeah,
but did they not lean into his sexuality or any of that stuff? Really?
No, they purposely avoided it, and then they decided that they didn't have anything to do with the character since he wasn't gay.
Well, yeah.
And, I mean, can you imagine if they actually were courageous enough to make him gay in the TV show? How the controversy and the ratings and
it was a conversation that we had maybe once that I had once behind the scenes, and they were like, "Do you want it to be on the air?" And I was like, "Wow, okay." And it's so different now.
Yeah,
fortunately.
But it's like, mm-mm.
It's too bad. I mean, Fame was my show when I was a young kid, and if I had been able to see a gay character going to that school, it would have
been pretty nice.
A huge difference. This little kid growing up in Texas.
Well, yeah, think about the Fame, the second movie.
Yeah,
and I think I'm one of the only ones that was there from the original, and they didn't deal with it at all. And I was saying, why are you not dealing with AIDS? Why are you not dealing with what is really happening in our community? We lost so many geniuses to AIDS in the dance world in particular. We hit so hard,
Really?
It's just been terrible. But they weren't thinking, they didn't do that in the sequel to them, in the revised movie of Fame.
But the original, man, Antonia, that monologue, God, James was about to get up and you began your monologue, and I was like, you have to watch this. Like, I moved it back to the couch. It is like, first of all, I can't believe you had an audition with that.
Yeah, that was the how are you? Yeah. Well, because the thing is, the problem was they couldn't find a ballet dancer that could act. That happens a lot. You train so hard. We don't speak. You know what I mean? It is a tough thing. The thing about Alan is that he wanted people to be real as possible. So I think that was the big stumbling block. So that's all they were interested in at that point, I'm sure. But the other thing I wanted to say was one of the just about how great Alan was with the film and how real it was. Not only Montgomery's character, but also the interracial. But not to go on about that. I got some slack for that, but fuck it. But yeah, I mean, but the other thing that he did that she's not here, Irene, that scene to really tell you what Manhattan was like for a young woman. I mean, the scene that Irene had to do with the photographer, that happened left, right, and center my entire growing up in Manhattan. And the fact that he did it was so extraordinary. And that's, you know, people weren't doing that back then, right, Debbie? They weren't telling the truth.
They were not true. They were afraid. And Alan was not afraid. And he wanted to tell a real story. He took the whole story and tooled it and made it edgy and gritty and real, which is why he had so much footage, because sometimes he would just roll that camera and he would just
so great. Yeah, it was so great. That, I just hats off, you know.
Yeah,
devastating.
Parker.
Antonia, did you choreograph your adagio, your seduction of Leroy?
So what happened was, it was supposed to be Louis choreographed a duet for me and for Jean, me and Jean dancing together. So we choreographed the dancing together. So we basically were on set from 9, and then Alan came in and looked at the duet. He said no. He said just give Antonia a solo and we'll shoot in an hour. So me and Louis looked at each other. We're like, So Louis was like, what do you like to do? I'm like, I don't know. What do you like to do? So we just basically put this thing together. Alan came in, saw it, and he goes, yeah, it's good. Let's do it. For real. Yeah. And then the end, yes. I don't remember how the end happened, but yeah, it was really cool. But it was literally like on the spot, on the moment.
Let's just spot your amazing technique. Look at that line.
Yes, girl. Hold that carpet.
It was a good take. That was a good take. We did it in like an hour and a half. Yeah, it was a good take. Thank you.
Okay, so we're getting to the end of the show. I'm sorry, what you going to say? Anything else?
So one of the cool things that Louis Falco did, the choreographer, who unfortunately died of AIDS as well, was the loveliest guy. But he sent me to a great teacher, Maggie Black. So that's why my technique got even more spot on.
God, you are pulled up. Okay, 2 things before we go. So, Laura Dean, please tell the story of you being in the bathroom and Michael Gore overhearing you.
Well, because so I'm in this musical, and I'm not singing, and I considered myself more of a singer than anything else. I sang with the New York City Opera as a child from when I was 10 to when I was 15. Anyway, I'm in this musical and I'm not singing, and I always sing. Any word that reminds me of a lyric, I sing the song. And on the set, Alan used to say to me, you're not going to be in the finale, Laura, because he knew that I wanted to sing, and I knew that the finale wasn't written yet. And anyway, one day I'm singing on the set.
I'm sorry. Why did he not want you in the finale? Because you're kicked out of the dance?
I don't know. It was a game we played with each other. And also in the original script, my character actually killed herself.
I was wondering that.
The first version of the script.
I remember that. Yeah.
And MGM said, you can't kill a character by suicide in a musical. So they
wait. Oh my God.
And I kept thinking, well, if she doesn't jump, doesn't she have to have more scenes in the movie? I would say that to him, and he'd say, you're not going to be in the finale, Laura. Anyway, so I was singing, and this tall redheaded man says, you have a really good voice. And I said, oh, thanks. Alan Parker doesn't think so. And he said, what do you mean? And I told him, I want to be in the finale, and I know it's not written yet, and I want to sing, and I'm a singer, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, let me talk to him. And I said, oh, well, who are you? Well, let me introduce myself. I'm Michael Gore. I'm writing the music. I was like, oh, okay, you're my new best friend.
Exactly.
And he actually, though, everyone who sang in the finale had to re-audition. I don't know if you did, Paul, but I had to learn the whole song and go in there and sing it. And I know a lot of the people that, like everyone that sang in the choir, had to go in and audition again to be in the finale. And I guess they also wanted to figure out, how they were setting it up and who was singing which verse and all that stuff. But yeah, it was There was tension. It was
your placement is so good because you literally, it's one voice because you begin at a D and then you have to go up to a D, and it's literally that whole Liz Calloway, that whole 80s sound like you created in 1980. Listen to this placement. It's so amazing.
Oh,
I sing the body electric. I celebrate the me yet to come. I toast to my own reunion when I become one with the sun.
Just
Where's
one
that
voice.
bell?
Shout out to my mother-in-law who has that as her ringtone on her phone.
Yes. Okay. So Lee's married to my sister, and so yeah, she made Lee put that as her ringtone.
With the sun. Okay, so hold on. Are you sending a donation? We have one more treat before we go. We're gonna send a donation. Hold on.
Well, I'm going to send it to Lee. Hold on.
Okay,
for a
Lee, we're
second.
sending you donations to read. So don't forget, guys, we love that they're all coming in. You go to starsonthehouse.com to donate. It's all going to the Actors Fund. If you need help, go to the Actors Fund. You go to actorsfund.org. Really, they will pay your rent, medical bills, they'll help you with health insurance. They're amazing.
The Actors Fund is a great organization.
Amazing. I just joined the board to help more.
Oh, awesome, Debbie.
Yeah. And I want to say, I don't know if you all know, but Paul has become one of the most dynamic and prolific directors in our business today. He is amazing.
Well, thank you, as are you. So thank you. That's high praise. Thank you very much.
Here we
Debbie.
are.
Are you casting a sort of Jewish host?
I will be now. I will be now.
Aw.
Thank you. Did you send to Lee?
I did. Lee, did you get what I sent you?
Should I read it now?
Yeah,
Sure.
Bill from Arizona, $103 in honor of Gene Anthony Ray. And thanks to the cast of Fame, what great memories for this nearly 60-year-old man. Bravo, brava. And Juliana from California, $25. And Joe Duquette from Virginia, $25. I'm the cop who danced into Central Park during the filming of Body Language. What a great show tonight. Thanks, guys.
Wow, awesome.
Juliana from California, $25. Joe Duquette. Oh, that's the same one. Okay. I got it.
So specific. Okay, before we go, Laura Dean, it's a treat for us with me on the piano, sort of. Laura Dean, I'm very excited. Bring over your microphone.
Okay, bring it over the microphone. Then my hubby has to cue up the music.
Okay.
And Debbie and Lee, I can't tell you how many comments we've gotten since we started this in mid-March of people wanting a Fame TV series reunion.
So that's going to be next.
No,
That's a good idea.
in my head a year ago, and there was this big argument over who would do the international distribution. I was one foot and a half in the door to doing it. We would all have been right back. But maybe it'll still happen.
We want a reunion.
Well, you can come on. You can come on our show in the meantime and raise
talk
money
about
for
it.
the Actors Fund.
That's right. And a West Side Story reunion with John Sloman and Brent Barrett and all those cats and Josie de Guzman. All right, Laura Dean, let's
Laura,
hit
you
it.
ready?
Yeah, we're going. Here we are.
Okay.
Sometimes I wonder where I've been, who I am. Do I fit in? Make believing is hard alone out here on my own. We're always proving who we are, always reaching for that rising star to guide me far and shine me home out here on my own. When I'm down and feeling blue, I close my eyes so I can be with you. Oh, baby, be strong for me. Baby, belong to me. Help me through. Help me need you. Until the morning the sun appears, making light all my fears. I dry the
tears I've never shown out here on my own. But when I'm down and feeling blue, I close my eyes so I can be with you. Oh, baby, be strong for me, baby, belong to me. Help me through, help me need you. Sometimes I wonder where I've been, who I am. Do I fit in? I may not win, but I can't be thrown out here on my own. Out here on my own.
Lovely, nice.
Telephones and dogs. Like right here, and my dog is shaking.
Oh my God, that was so great,
Well
you guys!
done.
Thank you, everybody. I love the movie. It was groundbreaking. It's still so moving. Everyone, it's so amazing speaking to you all, and thank you for donating. Closing comments.
Yes, tomorrow.
You guys, thank you for even doing this. Sorry, I just thank you for so much for doing what you're doing for the Actors Fund. It's really fantastic.
Yes.
Really well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aw,
Our
thank you,
industry is, I mean, so many people.
Great to see you guys.
It's so great to see you.
You, I hope you stay in touch somehow.
Yeah, definitely.
Great to see you all.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Sound okay?
I thought it sounded awesome.
Okay, you moved the